And I think we may be live. Somebody let me know if they see me here. I am using StreamYard for the first time, and this could be, we may have a rough go of this. So somebody hit a comment, say, hey, Dan, we see you. You're live. We hear you. I do see that I've been on now for 30 full seconds, and I just need to see a comment saying, hey, we hear you. We see you. Use good. See, Colin gets this. Can you hear me, Colin? Colin, I need you. This is, remember, we are in a safe space, buddy. And I need you to give me one thing, one book addict related action that you do. And we're going to have to discuss about it. What is it that makes you an addict? So in my circle, they only say all you need is 2 people for a meeting. And if I got 2 people, I am here to help. I am here to give you experience, strength, and hope that you guys are not alone. That if you just feel off, if an Amazon package isn't delivering a book to you, and as soon as you get that book, you have to find another book to be in transit just so you can feel normal. I get that. Joanna, hello. Birdie, how you doing tonight? Everybody, thank you for stopping by for my meeting. What we got? What you vaping on? This is the only habit I have, and it's one I want to kick. But this is strawberry pina colada, and this needs to go. It's 44 now. This needs to go. Chocolate eclairs need to go. Rare steak needs to go. I have many vices. Joanna is in the comments. I need you guys to confess to me about your book buying problem, or this also is in the circle. If you have a booktube problem, I sit at home and work, so I am going to share with you guys so you can see that we are in a safe space to share these things. So I sit at work all day and I work on my computer, and on my headset, I just go through everyone's videos. I do not speed them up. Theo on Kindle Reader, he does speed them up. I just figured out you're able to speed them up, but I don't know if I'm going to speed it up because I'm trying to work over here. Epic Tales, how we doing, man? Sent you a link if you want to come on. Keep coming back. It works if you work it. Christopher Navo is in the comments. He is on Anita's channel right now doing reading sprints. There are a lot of people that I'm competing with. Thiago, I believe, has an interview a little later tonight. Go check that guy out. I saw him in the comments last night on a First Law breakdown, and his introspection of the things that went on in First Law was just awesome. It was cool. He was in the comments to kind of get in his head and how he saw certain things in First Law. I loved it to the point, like, I went and bought his book immediately. And he was like, Joe Abercrombie has a good He has a he's influenced by Abercrombie. Thiago is. I hope I'm saying his name correctly. Epic Tales. Hey, I did send you a link if you want to jump on. I don't know if people are in my studio. This is a first for me on StreamYard, so I hope I can see if somebody is in the back waiting room there, waiting to come on. Bargain book sale. I gotta say, if you're driving and you should be going to work and you see a bargain book sale and you're just like, I could probably be late to work, and you go in and you buy the books, like you're in the right crowd here, because I can see myself doing that. Yeah, I get paid to watch BookTube, folks. Now, listen, I do my work. I realize this is the best thing. Like, you realize you have a problem, and you start making little changes. Like, I will at least put in 2 estimates in my system, then I'll watch a video. Rather, I would put like half an estimate in, watch a whole video, finish it up, go back to Joanna's channel to watch her video. See if any of my newbie tubers are out there, Speed watch. So here's the speed watcher here, right? We have rekindled reader. Theo's in the house, and I didn't even know you could speed watch YouTube until he put out his let's get truthful tag or something. I'm going to do that tag. He didn't tag me, but I'm that kind of dude. I don't care if you tag me. I'm going to do it. And he said that you could watch YouTube video in a higher speed. And I was like, bet. That's all I need now is more YouTube, BookTube. We will have a good time, Theo. If you are still in the comments, I need you to write down, you need to share one book addict thing that you do in the comments so we can discuss. Everybody, you should be writing down something that you are a little, you're a little ashamed of. Do you smell a book when you get it? Does Amazon show up with a book and you like do a little dance in your kitchen and, you get a little, the synapses start flying off, or when you're in a book, do you get a book high? I get a book high sometimes. When I finish a book, like I'm like walking on air sometimes on some of these books. Book sales were internet. See, this person's going he's looking all over the place. He's trying to find a book sale in Chechnya and trying to capitalize online. See, that's a problem. That's a problem. Joanne, you got one of my favorite channels. You were up there in my top 5 for sure. I'm always reading 3 or 4 books at a time. Does that count? That kind of counts. Do you have yard work that needs to get done? Are your kids waiting for dinner while your nose is buried in the book? And you're just like, one more chapter, guys. And the next thing you know, it's bedtime. These are things that we cannot turn our backs on. These are not good habits to form. I have 20 books on Libby and wait. So I'm going to admit this. Today, I kind of got yelled at because I did kind of go crazy. And I just got a Kindle. And, this is like my own personal library. I just go in there. I start looking what's on sale. I saw a couple books for $1. Man, I just started ordering things. My wife came home. She was not happy. And I had to apologize to her because she's right. I went a little crazy. And there are books that are free. I have so many downloaded in here that I haven't even read yet. And I'm out there just like, purchasing things. I heard about, Illborn. I want to read that. So I downloaded it. And then, I already read Jade City. And I was like, let me get Jade War when I got like 90 books in my TBR on this thing. And it's getting out of hand. It's getting out of hand. Yep. Dude, Before They Are Hanged was excellent. It was so good. It's my favorite book in that series. Tori over there at Tori Talks, books, she just finished. I like get excited for people to get into that book. It's crazy. I get excited for you, and I see this in BookTube. So there was a BookTuber that put out something about comics today, and she mentioned Uzumaki. Joanna mentioned Uzumaki as well. And when I wrote to the booktuber that, that's so funny you put this out. I bought Uzumaki. I'm gonna jump into manga for my first time. And what she wrote is like, I'm jealous that you get to start that. Like you get that first feeling. All the Baker fans do that. They're like, dude, we're jealous. You get to read this for the first time. And I just think that's so cool. And there's a lot of people that enjoy seeing other people jump into something they love. Matt, how we doing tonight? We going to be reading or messing around on the guitar? Oh, I'm not even going to, you know what? I'm going to show this comment, but only for a second, okay? Because, there is respect here because she's a booktuber. So I will show the comment but just for a minute. Okay, here it comes, guys. All right, that's enough. All right, that's enough. I still did it. I could have moseyed right over that comment. Just remember. 5. So I used to be a reader that only did one at a time. And then I started to feel like a mood. I think it came with like this being addicted to other things. Like, oh, what if I want to start this now? Oh, I want to start that now. And with this readathon that we have going on, I've read all the books kind of. I had about 3 going at the same time. Now, there are certain books like this one right here. There are certain books like this gentleman that I need complete quiet to read this because it's just heavy. You do not want to miss a word. And I need complete quiet so it has my full attention. There are other books, though, like this, where I can read and my dogs are jumping on top of me, and I can still grasp what the author, the funny parts the author is trying to get across. So I would leave this book on my bed, and I would leave this book downstairs. So this is nighttime when my dogs finally go to sleep and stop jumping on me, and this would be for the daytime. So I started, mixing it up that way, but then I also got my Kindle and I started reading a bunch of books at a time. Mal, you know what? I don't even know what I'm going to do. I have so many books I'm already reading, but I put down Memories of Ice. I am going to jump back into that immediately because I'm all in on Malazan. I'll be starting Star Wars this weekend. I've heard about so many of those books that are out there. I just hope Disney doesn't fuck that series up. If each book is a different genre, I would say that you're right on. My part is I like darker and adult fantasy. Sorry, I'm just checking around to see if because I can't see the whole screen over here. I like dark fantasy, and sometimes it can get too much. So it's good to have like Pratchett in there for like a palate cleanser. I'll end up in some deep dark hole that I don't want to come out of. But I do like that. Is it May yet? Seriously, memories of what? Yeah, hey, you remembered? Yep, I'm. Soon as I finish Pratchett, I am picking up. I have a conundrum. I'm going to pick up Memories of Ice because I also started We Are the Dead, and I really am into it. I'm really into We Are the Dead. I want to read more Rob J. Hayes. I want to read. There's so many things in my Kindle right now. All right, so what are you guys reading, and what do you guys want to discuss? So let's go in and see how bad I am, right? Let's just look at my library here. You got my library, right? Which I went a little out of control today. I pre-ordered Seeds of War because I Jayo or Silva, I believe. I saw him on Twitter. He seems like an excellent guy, and I read the synopsis of his book, and I was about it. So obviously, I got all three of the We Are the Dead going on here. I got Gunmetal Gods and the second one are free on Kindle Unlimited. I bought P.L. Stewart's today, right there. Bought the Drowned Kingdom because if you're a great person, like I'm gonna buy your stuff. Like PL is such a nice guy that I actually had. He's in something a Discord page chewing Discord, and I like hit him up and asked him about like world building and if theology is considered world building, if the words they use that are from the past considered world. And like he's such a great reviewer, he broke it all down for me. And I went on because I'm newer to this. I went on about prose and style, and he just really was nice about it and told me a lot of things that may help me when I review a certain book. Yeah, Memories of Ice. I have it in the House of Change. I've heard a lot about Karsta, actually. I've been thinking about getting a Kindle. I read on my iPad. It's just a lot of money for an item that's true, but you do have a bookstore right in the palm of your hand. You can download samples, read the first couple paragraphs or first couple chapters really, and decide whether you want to read them. If you're running out of shelf space, there's a lot of shelf space in here, I'll tell you. Yep, Drowned Kingdom. I downloaded. I bought both of them today, actually. So I was on with Taylor, Eric from Made Between the Pages. She said she read the third one and she got nightmares. And then I was sold. I was like, really? You got nightmares? All right, man. I got to get back to Gunmetal Gods because it's free on Kindle Unlimited as well. PL is an amazing character. I really, when I watched Page Chewing in his interviews when he interviews authors. He's just a very nice person. Just as oh man, who just dropped a book? Dr. Fantasy. Well, I can't see. I'm having this problem in my older age where I'm forgetting words, and like I'm reading a lot. What is the problem? Why is my brain not acting like it should? Philip Chase, thank you, Eugene. What's that? Truth Blue. Yeah, that's the character I believe in Gunmetal Gods. Yeah, when you get to see these authors and you're just like, these guys are the nicest guys. Like, you really want them to do good. And I haven't purchased The Way of Edan yet. It is free on Kindle. But I was I believe, from what I heard from Epic really liked the Drowned Kingdom, and a lot of Epic's choices I'm really down with because he's into the darker stuff. Oh, that's great, Bertie. You'll be interviewing PL in August. That's awesome. Yeah, PL promised me a signed copy if I read all his books, so I'm getting to it. And I believe his third book is dropping this month. So, guys, this is supposed to be a meeting where we tell each other not to buy books, and here we are co-signing each other's bullshit, and nobody has told me to be strong. So this is tea I have sustained from all alcohol and others I just had my 6.5-year anniversary from no drugs or alcohol for me for that long. And never been happier in my entire life, to be completely honest. You guys are enabling. Thank you, Eugene. Thank you, guys. Yeah, I didn't want to try to throw my journey out there to try to get subs and stuff like that. I do put it at the end of my videos to, so hopefully, this is something I'm sure everybody is affected by, and yeah, one day I may just drop a video about it and things I've learned, and reading has been a hobby that's been very beneficial to me in many ways. Oh yeah, go watch that Zeppelin vid, man. I put it up with actually Zeppelin's song in it, and I got flagged. They didn't put it out because I put Zeppelin, playing their music, but apparently that's not allowed. Anyway, I was going to make a video about my journey. Patience is a thing that you lose completely when you're in a world like that, or you just want the next thing, and I see it happening in society where we used to have. I'm gonna just start talking. I hope you guys start listening. Anyway, we used to have. It's like America breeds an addict, right? And it's how everything's going. So we used to have movies, then we have TV shows with commercials. Now we have streaming services with no commercials. Then we go to YouTube, which are shorter videos, quicker. And then we go to TikTok where, and Facebook where you're just next thing. And the patience is being killed. So those slow burn books, we may have children that will never read a slow burn book and be able to enjoy that ride up and and be patient for that grand finale because of how our media is being consumed these days. Thank you, Birdie. R. Scott Baker. Oh man, he's just. If you've read a lot of books, Eugene, he's difficult to read, and you can see he seems pompous in the way he writes because he uses such big words, and he's not for everybody. But if you can get through that part, he tells an amazing, gritty, epic, dark story. You're gonna want to pick up The Darkness That Comes Before. That's his first book. And it's not like your fantasy tropes, they're everything's twisted on its head. You do not know who your protagonist is for quite some time. Yep. Like Mr. Hayward said, Darkness That Comes Before. Eric is a rereader of the series as well. He always comments on my videos when I drop a Baker review, and the Baker community is very helpful. You would think when you read Baker and the content that is in this stuff, you would be scared to go out into the Baker community. But I'll tell you, man, some of the nicest people I've ever met. There's a gentleman, Christos. He's helped me immensely. He's all over social media, helping people, trying to push Baker on. He doesn't push it, but he's very nice about it. He's like, okay, this might be you. And he's always encouraging people when they first get to the book. I see him on Facebook. I see him out on Twitter. I see him on YouTube, always commenting on Baker things, and he's extremely helpful. He's just a really nice guy, and I'm in a Baker community on Facebook, and it's very helpful. And let me see, yes. Yeah, so thank you very, very much. So I think I was masking that with what I was doing. So, after all that wore off and my brain started to heal, I'm sure, there were depression issues that, there was some things I haven't dealt with. There was a lot of things. And obviously reading gets me out of my head. The wheels are always spinning, but when you sit down with a book, like, you can stop and slow down and deal with somebody else's problem for a little bit while you read. Yeah, so with Baker, they are tough prose, but then you get to a line. I gotta say that Baker has like 17 lines that are on my top 20 lines in any book that I've ever read. You just get to a line, and there was one part in, there was a line in The Great Ordeal. That's very many books from now if you get into Baker, with this one guy who, just the way he said it's still. I read it maybe a month and a half ago, and I still read the line over in my head. And I have a video that I put out with it, and I still see the GIF that I put in the video, and it was into the most empty of arms. He's just so good. He's just so good. But there are times when you can get pissed at his writing style. So, Eric, I have started the audiobook of Dune, and I'm not the best with audiobooks, so I keep rewinding it as I'm working to listen to it. But I gotta say, I keep wanting to. That's how I know I like a book, when I put it down and it's just staring at me when I walk by. And I'm just like, I can't wait till I get back into it. Like, Dune has drawn me in. That grittiness, that darker tone. philosophical tone. It's just excellently written as well. Reading the first Baker book, I felt like I had Dune soundtrack going through my head the entire time. Epic. PTSD, social anxiety, and books have honestly probably. I have to say, I always thought I was a social person, but I was always, you know, and I was always taught. And now, like, I don't even want to go out. I hate going to the grocery store. I don't want to talk to the grocer. I don't want to bump into people. I feel I have a little bit of social anxiety, but if you meet me on the street and we had something in common, you'd see like I'll open up to you like nobody's business. But I don't want to be out there. Sometimes I just want to stay home with a book, and I gotta say that I feel I can see. I see more now that my brain's on a cloud. I do have social anxiety. My wife does as well, and we can see, that there are certain things that do help, and calming down with a book, it can do wonders for people. Yeah, Chris, I really want you just like I don't know. A lot of us have a certain spot. So, okay, I don't know if you take the train or the bus or the public transit, Chris, but that's for like other books, but when you're laying down or when you're in your reading dome and you can get that quiet and you can focus, I think that book will hit the spot. It's awesome. What was that? Am I missing something? Maybe I missed something. No, I don't think. I think everybody should read the classics. There has to be. It's you want to see your foundation. I explain it like music, right? Being a Led Zeppelin fan, I'm gonna go listen to Robert Johnson. I'm gonna go listen to those blues guys. Those guys all grew up listening to it and honed their style toward. So when we talk about Tolkien, I believe it's Feist in that. I could be wrong, but Gamel. Even so, when you're talking about darker fantasy, Cook, I believe in the Black Company. That's something I need to read. But it is always good to understand what where your author got his passion or his, not his ideas, but his love for reading. And I know Erickson was a big Glenn Cook fan as well. So I'm from the U.S. I like I said, I don't like to go out. Barnes, I would go to Barnes, but my bookstore is Amazon. Like if you can bring it to me and I don't have to deal with nobody, it's Amazon, unfortunately. But I really haven't gone to a bookstore and bought books. Since I started reading about 4 years or 3 to 4 years ago, everything has been bought by Amazon for me. I think that's a great idea, actually. I would love to. That's kind of what I was trying to do with this, because, or at least, my addiction issues come out in other ways. They find themselves in other ways. And they, I think, sometimes to compensate for how we're feeling, we tend to buy books, or jump into books, or be too long in the books to where we can miss out on friends, or community events and things like that, because I do that. I would rather stay home. Like, it's time to go fishing for me again. And lately I've just been like, nah, I'd like to stay home and read, because I am big into, bass fishing was my first passion, and it became obsessive, just like I do with BookTube. I always watch bass fishing videos, and yeah. Mhm. I forgot how to. Do you know how Mads? Do you know how I do that on while I'm streaming? You know what? I might still have it actually. Hold on. All right, I'm looking for that. Give me a second. Yeah, yeah, okay. Now I get it. Right, you're right. They kind of call to me. They really do. I am trying. I'm gonna look for you on Discord and send you the link. I believe I still have it. Mads, if you would like to join in. Yeah, I would. I need I need a whole bunch of money first. I just got married. We just went to Disney World. And I don't know if we have any more trips coming up, but you know what? That's a good point, Eric. When everybody was talking about Gemmel, um, I thought that book was going to be a huge book, but apparently it's like 300 pages. I had no idea. When everybody was talking about Legend, a lot of people are reading Legend now, and um, a lot of people are reading Legend, and I always thought it was like a massive, massive book. So I grew up with my grandparents, and no animals were allowed in that house. And then, I moved out, went to college and stuff, and I never got a pet until now. And I don't know if I should have hurt myself like that. Like most of my family's gone, and my side of the family has gone over the rainbow and far away. And that, now I got these dogs, man, that I know that they might not last. I'm just they're only like they're like four, they're like, I think 3 and 1, and I'm already starting to prepare myself for this. So I really hope everything's okay at the vet. Yeah, that's I've been working on my yelling. Been working on my anger. Books have helped a little bit. Medication helps too. especially high blood pressure medication. It really calms me down. I think it's helped a lot for me to be able to read better too. No, I haven't done a Discord. I only have like 200 subscribers. Actually, it's like might be 250 by the end of the week. I'm pushing it. But if I get up into those 1K and stuff, maybe I would get a Discord and would love to chat with people. I really started this as a hobby, to continue on with this hobby, which helps me in my recovery, and I love editing the videos. The problem with me is our mental state. We up here we're telling ourselves we're not good enough, right? Oh my God, look how well Tall Guy Reads speaks about these books, and they just are they break them down so well, and my verbal skills are one of somebody who has spent a lot of time in an urban area on the streets. So dogs are magic on four legs. Yeah, I look, I wish I could say that. Hey, Kelly, wave. That's my wife. Hey, that's who was on The Voice. Say hi to everybody, Kel.
Hi. Bye.
Okay, she's what show are you watching? Shrinking. She's watching the Shrinking show, which is actually very funny. I was trying to read Discworld last night, and she had it on. It was pretty good. I don't if you guys are into shows, and I've heard we all have some bit of mental issues. As I put this one up here, nope, mine is more. What do I have? Oh, it's so common. See, I'm losing these words, man. Not Zoloft, but I don't know. The first one they always put you on, not that one, but the next one. So, that helped my anger a little bit and things. But yeah, so I tell myself that I can't speak as well as a Joanna or a Tall Guy Reads. So for me, it was always that me shooting these videos. When I do this, I think I'm better live, even if I forget things, guys, it's tough when I was like, oh, I could review a book. It ain't as easy as you think. Like if you're writing a Goodreads review, like you have time to process all that. But when you're speaking to a camera and you don't want to lose your flavor, it's a bit difficult, So if Mads, if you're there, I did send you the link. I just don't know where it would pop up if you are waiting on anything here. Invite a guest. Okay. Well, I've the invite's been out there for a few people. So let's talk about books, baby. All right, let's not bring salt and pepper into this. The Fictional Traveler. What are you reading this evening, or what? Give me a book that you really liked this year. Eugene, what are you reading? Strange Mentality. Eric, are you guys reading something you think a lot about? Addictive Personality books you can feed it with. So I would say, when I got into recovery, I realized that we all talk about these addictive personalities. That's the thing. And there's obviously a big hubbub of whether, I was born this way or if it is a disease. And I don't really want to step on toes or get it, but for me, I realized the way I coped with my pain was was harmful to me. So, when I was 10 and my parents, couldn't take care of me no more and they disappeared and I went to live with my grandmother, like I started eating a lot. I got like fat within that first year of living with my grandparents and, my parents not being around. And then I like threw myself into sports and I had to be doing something, that was, keeping me engaged or happy. So it was sports. I come home and then I'd have dinner and then I'd go and play video games. And there was no time to just slow down and be okay with me. So I would say that the way I did, whether it was a disease or not, the way I dealt with my pain was harmful to me. It has, built in itself. It was something that was progressing, and then I found, obviously, I found other things that would also, fill that need of mine when sports ran out and when things ran out. Let's all say hi to Mads.
Hey guys, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Mm-hmm.
Great. Cheers.
Yes. So I noticed Matt, we were on a live with Matt Books. I was like, I didn't know Matt smoked, and then he started smoking. I was like, all right, so maybe I'll have it. We're sitting here like going like this. And then Matt's like shuts off the camera. She disappears. She comes back with this. I'm like, oh, all right. I guess we're all right. I
mean,
won't be judged
we all
too
have
harshly.
some bad habits, right?
Yes, we do. Mm-hmm. So what are you reading, Mads?
So I'm reading two things. I usually have one eyes only book going because it takes me all month to read it. And then I have an audiobook going. So my eyes only book is I'm reading Phased by Victoria Tekken. # Beanie Barbarians.
Yes.
And I'm at like 50% and I'm going to finish it this month. And I do best under pressure, if I'm being honest. Like I like to have some pressure. So
yeah, I have that now with the readathon.
Ooh,
so
yeah.
And I kind of feel so I'd like to get your thoughts on this. I kind of felt like I was cheating, right? Because I started audiobook. I did one audiobook of The Priest of Bones and I really enjoyed it. But I kind of felt like my attention could go, while I'm doing things, my attention could go elsewhere. But I did Jade City and I did Voice of War, both on audio, and I submitted them, right? And I kind of felt guilty, and I can't shake that feeling. What do you think about audio?
Now listen, I am audio only primarily. Like
really?
So I do enjoy doing what we like to call immersive reading, which is, when you kind of settle down, put your audiobook on and follow with your eyes. I really enjoy that, but I do that maybe 15% of the time. Mm-hmm. The rest of it is 100% audio. So you'll never catch me saying the audio is cheating because that is my preferred method for taking in a story. And I don't do abridged versions or anything like that. And it is such a learned skill. And so after years and years of doing a lot of audio,
can you elaborate on that? Because Epic brought that up. Because he was like, your listening skills are getting better and you're forming that picture in your brain by listening. And when he kind of explained that a little bit, it started to make me feel a little bit better about consuming audio.
Yeah, so I actually have a video on this and it's really old. So I would like to redo it because I've learned a lot more since then and experienced more and maybe even like changed my take on some things. But it's so first of all, everybody has different learning platforms that they just mesh with better. Like some people are visual learners, some people are auditory, some people need to, have it explained to them. Like there's all different learning styles. And I, in general, am a very auditory learner. So that does help. But I like to let people know.
Yeah, I'll just really inject because That's funny that you say that, because let's just talk about with me with work, right?
Mhm.
And I get a new job. I learn better when I physically do it. You know what I mean? I guess that's how I feel when I read. And you're saying you do a little bit better when you actually listen to something. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it is. I mean, I don't think anybody's all one way. Like, for
Right.
example, like I used to work in manufacturing,
Mhm.
and my boss would try to explain things to me, and I'm like, dude, just show me how to do it one time,
Yeah,
and I'm
that's
fine.
how I am. Yeah, that's how
So,
I
I
am.
mean,
Mhm.
definitely, if it's something that's hands-on, just let me try it. Just let me watch you do it one time. But for some reason, when it comes to anything school related or learning, I'm just always been better when someone just can talk me through it versus having to read the text. Um, that just works better for me. So that does play into it. But I do think it can be a learned skill. And I have lots of tips and tricks for getting better at it. But the thing is, it's only if you want to. Like, some people act like they're doing something wrong. And I'm like, no. Like, if you're enjoying your books eyes only, like, no one's making you do this for sure. Like, I just don't think there's a right or a wrong way to do it. And people just need to do what works for them and what they enjoy the most. And my unmedicated ADHD is so out of control that, like, I mean, this is just some real talk. Like, I need some help. Like, I am barely functioning some days. But this is like something I can control, and it really helps me focus on other stuff. Like, I'm one of those people that I cannot focus unless I'm multitasking. And it's a strange thing. I
Okay.
cannot focus on dishes or laundry or cooking or any mundane task unless I'm also watching a TV show in the background, listening to an audiobook, listening to a podcast. And it's the same kind of vice versa. Like, I enjoy reading, and I used to be so much better at eyes only reading. But now, like, name something you can do while you're reading with your eyes. Like, almost nothing.
Absolutely not. You
And
can't.
I just get
You really can't.
very, very, very distracted. And so
Mhm.
part of
Okay.
that is a learned skill as well that I need to and that's why I'm making myself do at least one book a month, eyes only, because I want that skill back. And I believe that I can train myself back into that as well.
Okay.
But yeah, the audio, it was not as simple for me then as it was now. But now it's almost like it just uploads into my brain. Like,
Uh-huh.
I was I was on the Fantasy Files podcast a couple weeks ago, and I was talking to them how there'll be times where I think I zone out, and I'm like, oh gosh. So I go back and rewind it, and I'm like, no, I got all that. I got all that.
So
So
that's something that I do a lot. I find myself rewinding a lot, especially since I may put out a review on it, and it could be like a meaningless thing. I could listen to two sentences from two people and not hear it, be like, dude, I could have missed a lot just in
right,
those two sentences. So let me just rewind, especially if I'm thinking about maybe putting out a video about it.
sure,
So I had this issue, um, that I really want the full picture of what the author is trying to portray. And even with somebody like this guy right here, he does not paint you a beautiful picture of the scene.
sure,
It's very confusing. And that could be hard for me at sometimes, that I'll just like, let me just push through, because there are authors like Erickson that will provide you with more answers as you read along.
hmm,
And that can get frustrating to me because I really want that full picture.
yeah.
Um,
That's tough when you're like, did I miss something, or is it just
mhm,
going to be explained later? Because sometimes it's just woo, like, went over my head, or maybe, like you said, maybe I zoned out, maybe I actually missed something. But it's like, did I miss it, or is it just something? Is it a rappo? Am I just going to find out later?
mhm.
Is this
Yeah,
confusing
so
by design, or is it a user error on my part?
that's what I keep thinking, because I'm a newer reader. I think it's me, and there was just so much stuff out there about Malazan, where everybody's just, hey, yeah, just keep reading, man. And there was more, there was stuff out there about Baker, hey, just keep reading. So I understood that. But in other books that information may not be readily available, that's where I tend to have an issue sometimes. And it's weird when I'm reading, I can like read the words and just be somewhere and start thinking about something else. And
Mhm.
like, you know, a video I want to put out and be reading, but not comprehending.
Yeah, I do that too,
Thinking
where I'm like,
totally different.
I'll do it where I'm like, I think my eyes were just tracking and I stopped reading like several sentences ago.
I did try the immersion reading
Hmm.
because I guess I posted this that I'm kind of like Ricky Bobby, right? When I'm audio booking. So if anybody's seen that movie, he's in a commercial where he's just like, I don't know what to do
I
with
don't know
my
what to do.
hands. Yeah. So when I'm listening to audiobook, like I don't know what to do with my eyes. Like if my eyes go somewhere else,
That's
like,
why I
that's
have to
when.
be. That's the thing. I've never been able to just like sit in a chair and audiobook. Never.
Mhm.
Like I have to be doing other things. So, like I
Okay.
said, that's when I'm folding laundry, doing the dishes, going on a walk. Car. I mean, I live in the country, and so I spend a lot of time in my car because anywhere you
Mhm.
go, it's a trip. So I spend a lot of time driving and audiobooking. But yeah, that's how I do all my chores and everything.
It's easier for me to audiobook when I'm in the car. I will
Yeah.
recognize that for sure. But when I'm working at my desk and audiobooking, it is a bit difficult
Right. I
for me
mentioned
to retain.
Yeah, I mentioned before that I worked in manufacturing, and it was like
Mhm.
I made vitamins, and it was kind of like a mom and pop, like a small operation, and we did everything from literally blending the powders to encapsulating, bottling, safety seal, putting the label on, shipping to customers, like the whole process. And it was me and one other person that did everything.
Mhm.
And of course, in between each batch, there's very, very, very intensive cleaning and stuff. And this was the perfect job for audiobooking because I was
Okay.
physically busy all day. And I would clock in and I would get 8 hours of audiobook time a day because I just kept my head down and worked all day. And it wasn't that it was mindless work, but it was, it was kind of manual labor and running conveyor belts and stuff like that. And it was
Mhm.
just perfect. It was my favorite job I've ever had. And it didn't work out for long because they ended up closing. But like I was just like, this is my audiobook dream right here.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really so. You're right. It's just like with reading. Just as you put it, it's a learned skill, and I'm just gonna keep going with it.
Yeah.
And
Especially if you're enjoying it. Yeah. And the other big tip I have is, especially for people who feel like they zone out, is to speed it up. And
yes,
people
okay.
always think, as non-audiobookers always think this is some kind of clout where we're like, I listen to it on 1.85 speed. And I'm like, it is not about that. It's not about getting through it faster. It's about
Mhm.
finding the cadence and the speed that works for your listening speed. Because audiobooks are recorded intentionally very slow. Like if you
Mhm.
listen to it at 1 time speed, I think anybody would agree that no one talks like that. So you're not used to listening to that. And it's so slowed down, and the words are so intentionally spoken that there's literally a pause between each word. And no, when you speed it up, it does not sound like Mickey Mouse or Chipmunks because we're in digital audio now. Like there's no like distortion when things are sped up. Like it's all,
Mhm.
it sounds the same, just a little bit faster. So that's my main recommendation is always to, when you start about maybe 1.25, 1.3, and then speed it up incrementally until you find what sounds right for you. And I guarantee it's not going to be one. It's not going to be 1 time speed. It
Yeah,
might
I
be
I had no
double
idea
time.
I could speed it up until, I get, we have BookTube and I find out so much information from
Yeah,
you guys out there.
it
And I
helps
had no
so
idea I
much.
could speed it up. And now I had no idea because I'm doing Dune on YouTube right now. And I had no idea I could speed that up either. And I tried that today. And I felt like
YouTube
it
does
was
distort
better.
it.
Hmm.
YouTube distorts it much more than Audible does,
Hmm.
because I don't know, the technology is just not the same or something with the platform. But yeah, no, I love speeding it up, and it's not trying to be a race or being like, oh, I listen so fast, because technically, if you do immersive reading, you'll find that most people read with their eyes faster than they can listen. Like I usually have to speed my audiobook up to keep up with my reading speed, and I don't consider myself to be a particularly fast reader. So I think when you compare your audio speed to your reading speed, that's when people kind of go, oh, okay, it's not as crazy as it sounds to speed it up.
All right, let's see what we've got. So I did try the immersion reading, and that I did that for Greenbone Saga, but then I started just doing the audio.
Great audio on those, by the way.
Yeah, I thought he was good. I think that's very important too with audio. Like, your narrator is everything, and if you don't have a good one, Voice of War, I think the guy's name is Zach something Rosenberg. I totally forgot what his name was, but he just emerged. He drew me into that book. It was just very Zach something gold. I can't
look it up.
Yeah, he was. He did such a good job. You know what? He was interviewed by the guys that you were interviewed by.
Okay.
Right after
Recently?
you were done.
Okay,
He was the
I
next guy that came after your thing dropped.
Interesting. No, I am so fascinated by voice actors. It's something I wish I could do, but I don't have.
He breaks the voice acting thing down, how he went to like Hollywood to be an actor, and then he kind of moseyed on into voice acting. If you watch that interview, it was kind of cool that he broke down and he's like, dude, the voice acting community is so nice. When you get out there and you're trying to be an actor, there's some assholes. He's like, but the voice acting community was so cool. I just thought that was interesting how he showed us his journey into it.
I love that. No, I have a brother who I wish would narrate audiobooks because he does the best voices, and he's so consistent. And he's one of those people that can do all kinds of impersonations and stuff, and he just nails it every time. And I'm like, you should do this. He loves books and stuff too. And I'm like, it wouldn't be that costly to set up a decent home studio. And there's lots of stuff out there that lays out a track on how to, you don't have to go through a lot of stuff to get listed on Audible as an actor. You really don't. I've looked into it. Like I said, I don't have the chops for it.
Oh, all right. Got a comment. Thank you.
Oh.
Reading Way of a Dan.
I'm so excited to get to that. I am waiting for the audiobook on that because I'm just dying to listen to Alan's performance on that.
I really want to hear him, actually, because we hear him. Oh my God, he's all over the place, and I want to see what he does with voices. I would love to hear that.
Yeah, I'm ready.
I'm getting a lot more into Alan's stuff because I enjoy him ruffling feathers. I think that's good for us to if you don't like something, nothing's wrong with you. You know what I mean? And if I don't like something, nothing's wrong with me. It's just we all have different tastes,
Absolutely.
We have have you read Malazan?
Yeah, I am a notorious Malazan
hater.
Not
okay.
I mean, yeah.
That's okay. That's okay.
No, and here's the thing. I quit in book 7. So I really gave it my all.
What book was that?
Don't even remember.
Okay.
And the thing is, I think I went into it with realistic expectations. I went into it with support. I went into it with the right mindset, I think. And it just was not for me. The things it does really, really well are not things that really tip the scales for me. They're not things that matter to me. Yeah. And the things that I want in a story that really do matter to me, they aren't where he excels. So it's just not a good match for me.
What are some of your favorite series ever?
Favorite series ever? A Song of Ice and Fire.
Oh, yes. Yep.
Realm of the Elderlings. I am one of the
is this your first read of this series with everyone? You're doing it with everyone?
Me? No, I read it. I finished last September.
Okay, I
And then
believe there's other tubers
Oh,
that
yeah,
are
there's a couple.
that are going through it now, right?
Yeah. And oops. I recently reread, I did One Farthier, a book a month. I reread that trilogy, the first trilogy, on January, February, March. And I was going to just keep going and just keep rereading it because that's a series that I could reread forever, for the rest of my life. But I mean, readathon happened and those are big books. So I was like, I'll just get to them when I get to them. Because that's the good thing about rereads is there's no pressure.
Mm-hmm. So I have yet to reread a series because I did start this obsessive book reading a few years ago, and I thinking about either Joe Abercrombie or Baker again. I just finished Baker though. I would like to read to reread a series and get that experience of finding out more things that maybe you have missed, because I feel we were talking about your listening skill and honing that in and getting better, and our reading skills are continually growing.
Absolutely.
And when I read Abercrombie, I was very new to this, and I've consumed a lot more and a lot steadier pace.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I would get a lot more out of books when you reread. What is your experience when you reread books? Certain ones that, is there a series that you've read a couple times?
So yeah, I've read, first of all, I love rereads. But it's a nostalgia thing for me. It's a comfort thing for me. What I like is, I was talking to Derry about this, our resident Realm of the Elderlings master. She's read Realm of the Elderlings like 27 times, and that's not an exaggeration.
Yeah, something like that. I did hear her say 26.
Yeah, so I was talking to her, and I said, what's cool about this series, but I think it can apply to any series you love that's a journey, is I said you get kind of like 3 experiences with it, because your first experience is your first time. It's linear and you're experiencing it as it was meant to be told. Mm-hmm. And you're finding out information as the author intended for you to receive it. And so that experience on its own is incredible. You hear people say, like, I wish I could read that again for the first time. That's because your first time is special, because that's how the author wanted the reader to experience it. But then the second experience is standing back and looking at it from a whole. Like looking down on the whole series and going, oh my gosh, you get to spend months going, oh, that's how they connected that. And you just remember things and you think of things, and looking at it as a whole unit after you've had the whole thing in your head is an experience in its own. But then a reread is a whole new experience, because, like, for example, with Realm of the Elderlings, it's primarily first person perspective. So the first time you're reading it, you're all in that person's head. But after you've read the whole thing, you get to go back and kind of look at it, even though it's still being told through a first person perspective. All these side characters now. So you kind of get to watch his journey through the eyes of the side characters, because all of their little tie-ins and what makes them special and what makes them important, all that now. So you're paying closer attention to what his mentor is saying and what his enemies are saying and what his mother figure is saying. That stuff is more meaningful when you're rereading it. And so that's why I love rereads, is because you get something new each time, because you have the gift of the full picture. Mm-hmm. But I think what I've reread the most, though, is A Song of Ice and Fire. Like, I've reread, and I haven't reread it nearly as much as like super fans, but I think I've read A Game of Thrones. Book 1 is my favorite book ever, and I probably read it 5 times.
Yeah, that's one that so that's on the list. First Law, Age of Madness, and Baker are all on my list for those rereads. I'm probably, I think because, Abercrombie, First Law is all on free on YouTube as well, audio, and that man, Pacey, does an excellent job. Yeah. And I might just do that via audio, and I might just want to read it. I think it's just my attention with audio. I always feel like I'm missing something. I really do. So
that's why audio is great for rereads, because if you do kind of zone out for a second, you're not going to be like, I
True.
missed something. You know
That's
what's
true.
happening.
Mm-hmm.
But I was gonna say, if you're tinkering with audio and you're interested in a reread, I couldn't recommend anything more than First Law, because they are spectacular audiobooks.
Yeah, I've
Dabbled.
dabbled. Yeah, so I'm on YouTube. As while I'm working, and I've run into it, and I put it on, and Pacey was great. And I might have even done it. I just don't really. It didn't resonate with me because I was
Sure.
working. I probably was not paying attention.
Right.
But as I'm honing my listening skills more, getting used to audio, I think it'll be a better experience for me.
Mhm.
If I say just if I'm going to put a video out, like I want to make sure I get everything. And it's getting a little better, my listening comprehension, and I think I might try to do that. Maybe this summer I'm going to give Abercrombie a reread, and I'll read it all. I really love Abercrombie. He's one of, so you start to, when you get it, you start to love authors.
Yeah.
Do you read any sci-fi?
I do. It's not.
And do you dabble outside of your comfort zone, which is typically fantasy? Am I right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
You know what? I'm gonna walk to my office. I can't get comfortable. I was gonna be in
Okay.
bed, but because I thought it would be so cozy, but I'm not comfortable. So we're just gonna go on a little house tour. I'll be right. Actually, I'm gonna be right back. Okay.
All right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Eric, I'm really into the audiobook of Dune. You know what? I think like James Earl Jones was doing the Duke or something, but then it didn't sound like him at all. I wanted to look into that because not the Duke, the main bad guy. Oh my God, I can't think of it again with this. But I thought James Earl Jones was doing the voice, and then it got to like the middle, and it's the guy sounded the Baron sounded differently. Hey, so thanks for stopping by. I did see that the readathon was in a Kmart Discord, and it was for April only, but I know there's a bunch of readathons on YouTube if you want to check that out. I did see that. I am going to be reading Blood Meridian, Daniel, with Epic. We are starting on May 1st. If you are down, let me know. Maybe we can discuss that because I already got it. I showed you the last time that I'll be reading Blood Meridian soon. Right, Eric was correcting me, Baron, but I found it, Eric. It was in there and it came out. Blood Meridian. A lot of people looking for it. Awesome. Yeah, check them out, sir. And there are readathons going. I know the Bookish Drummer does them. I don't know if there's one for May. If I see one, I think I might have seen you on Twitter. I will find you and I will tell you about one. Okay.
And I think the plan is in Keymark to do them like quarterly, probably, or maybe every other month. Like we did it in January and then in April. So I don't think there is a set schedule. And I say we, like I'm not a part of the mods or anything. I just like it there. So yeah, keep your eye out in Keymark as well.
Yeah. So so do you venture outside of your comfort zone?
Yeah, I do. And I've been making a point to do more of that. And that usually falls into like literary fiction that comes highly recommended from people who know what I like. Classics, because I have not had much experience with classics. But I have a rule about that. Like it has to be something that I actually want to read. Like I'm not interested in reading something just because like everyone's read it or you know, if I want to be a serious grown up, you have to read this. Or if you want to be taken seriously as a reader, what do you mean you haven't read Pride and Prejudice or whatever? Like, I will read stuff that sounds really good to me. So I've been really choosy with my classics, but I have not had a miss yet. Like, I've enjoyed everything I've read. I mean, I read a lot of Stephen King, so I guess that's
Okay, yeah, that's going into horror. Let's see that because of my love for Baker. There are horror elements definitely within his books, and now I'm starting to edge out into looking into like a horror fantasy. Even into manga, I heard about Uzumaki, and I bought that manga, which is more horror. I'm going to read that next month. I feel it's it's good. The reason I picked up Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy. I don't believe that would be considered fantasy. I haven't read it yet.
I have read that, but
yeah. I know it's brutal. I know it is all that, and I'm sure the writing style
on paper. I really thought I would like it because that's like because a Western is the perfect setting for what we like to call grimdark. Like it really is.
Yeah.
And everything on paper was like, "Ooh, this is going to be so cool," and I just really didn't like it. And it's kind of rare for me to really not like a book, but I didn't like it. And then part of it, I think, was I just didn't get it. I'm like, maybe I'm just not that kind of thinker or something. But I was just like, I don't get it.
That definitely happens, and I get that with other authors. Like I think I need to reread. This is the thing, like we see people praise all these books, and then I read them and I'm like and Rothfuss, and amazing writing, but I guess I just didn't really connect. It felt like more of a mystery and not really fantasy. We were trying to find there are fantasy elements, but we were trying to find out who these certain people were, and it was just there didn't seem like there was a lot of action, that a lot went down. I do love the musical element of it. That was very cool. Him being a mandolist or whatever it was. I dug that part. I remember gripping the page one time really hardly when that was going on. But it's just the story really didn't catch me. We were like, has his sword in a bar, and you're just like, all right, when we get into the sword, and it was a bit boring. And a lot of people praise that book, both those books. And there was a twist in the second one where I wasn't feeling it. But I wouldn't. There were not parts in those books where I have found an Abercrombie and Baker and even Erickson where I was just like, wow, and that's maybe that's just my taste.
So like it sounds like we're all maybe a little bit even opposite in what we look for sometimes, which I think is perfect because that's what makes conversations interesting. It's what makes all these dynamics fun to be a part of. But like I am, like what matters to me the most is character work and dialogue. If I don't think that's really how people talk to each other, like I'm done. Character work, like I have to feel seriously connected to these people and feel like I know them. Like that's number one for me. But also I'm very, very into world building. Like I want an atmosphere that feels lived in and real. And I need for things to make sense. Like if you set rules in your world, that needs to be consistent. Like world building is really important to me. And then I'm finding out about myself that I really, really, really appreciate excellent prose. But it's funny though, because plot means almost nothing to me. Like, okay, I don't need action. I don't need things to happen. I don't need resolution. I don't need like a beginning, middle, and end. Like I can listen to some boring ass books that most people think are boring. But if I'm sucked in with the people and the world, I'm just enamored. So that's where a lot of times I'm like, I bet I know why that didn't work for you or whatever, because I just don't need a lot of plot to be to be interested.
Yeah, I've seen that, and you know what? I don't need a lot of world building. But then, of course, I did bring up how I talked to PL Stewart about what world building entails, and I think you said this on the sprint, like give me some lore and I'm there, and like that's
Folklore
world
and stuff.
building, yeah. So that's world building. Even when we talk about world building as a newer reader, I'm thinking like the trees, the cat, the explanation of the mundane, the trees, the castle, the world. But for me, it escaped me that we're talking about history. We're talking about
religion, politics.
Yes. So I grasp that a little better now.
Yeah.
Now I understand and I read. Have you read Jade War?
Yes, I read the trilogy last year.
Okay, and Jade War was, for world building, was exceptional for me. And I was just like, what? That was just amazing how she had culture in there that of course you and I are not used to. Being you said you were Midwest, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about this is Asian culture and they're
more of a modern setting. Like
yes, exactly.
A lot of times in fantasy, we want everything to be old.
Old, yes.
But like you're sitting there, I'm like, I think this is like the 80s or something.
Yeah, that's right. The black suit. There were cars and guns. I was like, awesome. I don't like my fantasy with cars and guns, but I will check this out because
I like it. It can't be my standard. It's something that's you throw in to mix things up.
Yeah, even with Flintlock, I believe that entails having old guns, and that is something that I haven't gotten used to. But of course, I have not read any I haven't read any Flintlock. It's because I know I like me some swords and some magic, and you throw in a gun in there, and I'm a little thrown off.
Yeah, and that's so I've read some like military thrillers and stuff that I really liked. Like gosh, I'm blanking on a name right now. It doesn't matter, but like the Jack Carr books, The Terminal List. There was recently a show on Amazon with Chris Pratt called The Terminal List. It's based on some books by a retired Navy SEAL named Jack Carr, who now writes books. They're awesome. And so like in that setting, I'm like, yeah, guns, pew, 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 pew. But when I'm reading fantasy, like a sword is always going to be a freaking 1,000 times cooler than a gun to me.
Yeah, for me too. Yeah. I totally hear that. But let me see here. I am running at my time to cut for this evening at 9:00. I've been going for about an hour and a half, and it's close to bedtime. I got to put the kitties away soon. But Madison, thanks for coming on. I really do appreciate that. And hopefully we can all get together again, and maybe I'll keep doing this. We'll see if the response is well received. And I would love to have people on. I was also thinking about just interviewing. You came on, I basically interviewed you. So I was also thinking about interviewing booktubers. But I'm kind of cultivating my way here as
I love it. Well, send me a link anytime, and if I'm available, I'll hop on, and I can. If I think about it, I'll post the links in places, and we'll try to rally up like a big crowd in here.
That would be great. Maybe in a couple of weeks we could do something. And I got to see what you're reading. Maybe we can talk about audiobook. I really like we only have a few people in this conversation, but I believe this is something that a lot of people, because me being a beginner audiobooker and you're somebody who is very experienced in that that medium, I think it'd be good for people to hear this because there are a lot of people. I believe there was a poll that not Matt on books, Matt's fantasy reviews. He put it out there, is audiobook reading, and it was only like 63% said yes. So and I think it'd be interesting to discuss this maybe with a bunch of people.
And I will say my take on that very quickly is that, like, yes, I use the word reading, But no, audiobooking is not reading. Like reading is reading. It's audiobooking. But does it take away the validity of you experiencing the story?
I don't.
No.
Yeah, I don't think
Like
so.
it
I
counts
think
for
you're right.
Goodreads. You're allowed to walk into a conversation and participate. It doesn't
Yes.
take anything away from your experience. But is it reading? No. I mean, reading is reading, but it counts. For the point of the question is, does it count? And I'll always say yes. Like I'm very passionate about audiobooks.
Yeah, that's excellent. That's something I need to hear because, like I said, when I put my entries in to the readathon and my 2 audiobook entries, I just felt different. I felt like I didn't, those were my first that I've ever done that, with. And, I was iffy to make I felt iffy if I should have made a review on Goodreads. And I think maybe there's a slight stigma out there on audiobook, and maybe I've absorbed it somehow, but I don't know. I felt a little weird to me doing that, but like now that I'm discussing it with you, it's becoming less of an issue for me. And
I mean, I've been making videos about books for 2 years now, and I don't know if I've ever, and luckily I'm immersed in a very beautiful community of people who support each other, but I don't think I've ever had a mean comment of someone being like, get out of here, you didn't read any of those books. Like, I mean, I've never had any of my commenters act like it wasn't valid or that they didn't want to hear my feedback or my opinion because I didn't look at it with my eyes. So the reception for me has been nothing but positive, with maybe an occasional like snide remark here and there. But sometimes I'm like, you guys are just jealous that because you get the question, how do you read so many books? And I'm like, if you read for as many hours a day as I audio, you would also read 8 to 10 books a month, probably. But nobody sits and reads for 8 hours a day. I mean, if you do, that's cool, and I think you're awesome. But that's just not feasible for most people. So I'm like, don't compare your method of taking the story into mine, because mine lends itself to all day exposure. So it's different. It's different.
All right, Mads. Thanks for having, for coming on.
Thanks for coming.
I'm gonna say, Eric, thanks for stopping by. Daniel, fictional traveler, Matt. We got other people here. Gene. I don't want to miss nobody. I just want to give a shout out to them all. I know Colin was here, Chris was here, Birdie. Thanks all guys for stopping by. Matt, thanks again. I got one of the little dogs too. I'm surprised you didn't yap.
Going nuts.
Hey, let me know if you want to do a live about audiobook, and I'd love to come on with you. If you were ever interested, just hit me up, okay?
All right, yep. I'll catch you in the DMs. Bye.
All right, bye.